Everyone in the city knew my stepsister's 2 childhood friends were chasing after me. Everyone whispered endlessly about which one I would end up falling for. That was until the very day I began seeing glowing remarks floating in midair. Does this side character really think the male leads are truly interested in her? They're being forced by the system to chase her, but in truth, they're in love with the female lead. Once she genuinely offers her heart to them, they'll abandon her and begin their destined pursuit to win her back. And that's when I realized the truth: if they failed to win me over, they would die. By the time those floating words appeared, Damon and Julian had already been circling me for nearly 2 weeks. My mother had remarried into the wealthy Ashford family, which gave me a stepsister and a surname only. Our connection wasn't terrible, but it wasn't warm either. We mostly behaved as if the other didn't matter. Damon and Julian were Marissa's childhood friends. The 3 of them had been inseparable since they were toddlers, an unbreakable trio that carried into their teenage years and beyond. The city buzzed with gossip that both young men had been secretly in love with Marissa for years. But when I suddenly entered their lives, those rumors shattered instantly. Whispers shifted toward me, the newcomer, and how I had stolen all the glow away from the lifelong companion. Everyone wanted to know which suitor I would eventually choose. But only I knew the truth. Even without those hovering words, I had always doubted their sincerity. From the very beginning, I suspected they weren't genuinely drawn to me. That was why I stayed cautious toward their advances, never giving too much, never dropping my guard. One morning, as I made my way downstairs for breakfast, more glowing words appeared. The side character's affection for Damon is at 30, basically acquaintance level, but her affection for Julian has climbed to 50. Just a bit more effort and she'll fall in love. In the original timeline, it took the male leads 5 months to win the side character. Just hold on a little longer until the epic pursuit of the female lead begins. I wasn't surprised that my feelings leaned toward Julian. He had supported me in countless small ways. Compared to Damon's impulsive attention and flashy charm, Julian's steadiness and maturity made him seem more trustworthy. Still, those affection points made me curious. Could I actually control them? As I was mulling it over, I noticed Julian sitting in the living room with Marissa. When he spotted me, his face softened with a warm smile. Unlike Damon, who had blurted out his feelings right from the start, Julian took a gentler approach, casually talking with me, subtly showing interest, and quietly helping me weave into their little circle. For someone who usually held himself back, even tiny changes in his behavior stood out. Normally, he only focused on Marissa. His extra attention toward me made his intentions very clear. I offered him a faint smile. Morning. When my gaze accidentally brushed Marissa's, she glanced at my night robe, rolled her eyes, and muttered something under her breath. I ignored her. Our relationship had never been close, but at some point, without reason, her attitude toward me hardened into open dislike. This felt like the right moment to test something. While I sat eating, my face stayed calm, but the glowing words around me told a very different story. What's happening? Why is the side character's affection for Julian suddenly dropping -10, -20, -30? And it's still falling? She's only having breakfast. Is she jealous of the female lead? She was so close to reaching like. Sure, it's normal to feel uneasy seeing your crush with another girl, but why such a huge drop? Does she have some kind of pride complex? From the corner of my eye, I noticed Julian stiffen, almost like he too had received a system warning. His voice with Marissa faltered. Before he could glance at me, I quickly lowered my eyes to my food. That's when it struck me I could manipulate these affection points. Side character Selena's affection -50. Current affection, 0. I froze when I heard Julian's system voice. Immediately, a harsh alarm blared. Warning. Warning. If affection drops to -200, mission will be considered failed and immediate elimination will follow. When affection enters negative numbers, random punishments will activate. If affection stagnates too long, the host will be judged negligent and punishments will trigger. Please complete your mission actively to avoid penalty. The rules were far stricter than I ever expected. Moments later, a shadow fell across the table. Julian's face was composed, but the tight crease in his brows betrayed his frustration. Still, he forced a warm smile and said, "I brought something back for you from my trip. It's that necklace you mentioned liking." He handed me a neatly wrapped box. He had probably planned to give it later, but now that my affection points had sunk to 0, he was desperate. Inside lay the very necklace I had once admired. Elegant. Costly. I had always loved beautiful, shiny things. Back when I was young and too poor to buy jewelry, I would collect candy wrappers and pretend they were treasures. I've never hidden my fondness for luxury. Some call me shallow, greedy, a woman who flaunts her taste for wealth. But it's simply who I am. The glowing remarks buzzed again. That necklace is gorgeous, and this suited-up male lead is so handsome. The side character must be falling for him now. Her affection must be soaring. That necklace cost a fortune. I did feel my affection nudge upward. Side character Selena's affection +1. Current affection, 1. The remarks groaned. She loses dozens at a time but only gains 1? Since when did she become the stingiest side character in history? Good thing the male lead bought this secretly. If she ever found out the necklace he gave the female lead was worth even more, she'd explode with rage. Turning the necklace in my hands, I asked bluntly, "Am I the only one who has this?" Julian hesitated. Normally, I wouldn't have spoken so directly. Around him and Damon, I had always been cautious, polite, only expressing gratitude when they gave me something. But now the rules had changed. There was no reason for me to act reserved anymore. His survival depended on my affection level. In fact, wasn't I actually saving his life by asking outright? Before Julian could answer, Marissa cut in. With a mocking smirk, she dangled a necklace from her wrist. "Do you really think that's possible?" she taunted, her eyes flashing with challenge. I didn't react. I simply let the chain of her bracelet fall back against her wrist and studied the box in my hands, as if the necklace were a relic in some museum that needed careful analysis before feeling anything. The glowing words flared angrily. The side character is about to erupt. -20 incoming. Look at the female lead flaunting it. Those necklaces are couple pieces, 1 for each of them. The male lead really screwed up this time. I pushed the velvet lining aside with my thumb and noticed a tiny engraving under the pendant. Flipping it over, I spotted a small serial code, the exact same one glinting faintly on Marissa's bracelet. Couple set. Of course. My affection for Julian plunged again. -5. -10. Falling, like the floorboards of a collapsing house.